I'm 50. Unfortunately, not 50 cent, but 50 years old. So having been through more than half my life, I have a few realizations about life. Now, I'm not a life coach or a guru, far from it. I'm just a writer. And writers, what is it that writers do that is different from everybody else? They spend a lot of time staring at a blank page, and thereby end up thinking of all kinds of things, from the silly to the substantial. And so, here are my realizations. Not about life in its entirety, but about a large part of adult life, working life, whatever your profession might be. I call them the 4 companions of life, and they are passion, frustration, satisfaction, and confusion. The gang of 4. 2 wonderful fellows, 2 unsavory ones. They walk with you all the time. Different ones taking a lead at different times. Now these 4 things, they don't happen in any particular sequence. They come and go here and there, like a Swiggy delivery person. Let me try and explain with my own experiences and examples. Passion, the very basis of life. Passion is what gives life to life. Some people figure out a passion early on and spend the rest of their lives living it. Some discover a passion for something later on in life and pursue it, either for pleasure or as a profession. I grew up in a small town in Karnataka in the 70s and the 80s, and every morning I would read the local English newspaper, Deccan Herald. Back then, Deccan Herald used to carry a weekly column called News in Brief. It would carry interesting tidbits of strange things, funny things, surprising things. It was 1985 or 86. I was in class 8 or 9. One day, I read this article about a Tamilian man who had a photographic memory. This person could look at a word, any word, for just a few seconds, and then be able to spell it and pronounce it, both forwards and backwards. One of those freaks of nature. As an example, the article carried a word, floxinocine helipilification, 29 letters. I had never seen such a big word in my life. I was fascinated. Over the next 3 days, I kept writing it down and memorizing it. And then I got obsessed. I wanted to know if it is the longest word in English. This was the 80s, obviously no internet, and the dictionary didn't have this word. So in my spare time, I would go to the city library, the central library, sit there, and randomly keep flipping pages of newspapers, magazines, novels, books, journals, anything really, to try and find a word longer than this. Some months later, I found anti-disestablishmentarianism, but it was 1 letter short, 28 letters. A few months later, I found supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, 34 letters. At some point in some journal, I found the medical term for a lung disease caused due to the inhalation of silicate dust, 45 letters. Pneumono-ultramicroscopic silicovolcanoconiosis. Subsequently, in some other journal, I found the scientific name of a small black butterfly found in South America. 60 letters. Papilio-cartigenmen sigrescens albalini apropi extremitati bussularum. In all, I had spent 9 months of my spare time sitting in the library flipping pages. At a time when most boys of my age were trying to impress girls, or preparing for the board exams, or seriously dreaming of becoming the next Sunil Gavaskar or Kapil Dev, this is the nonsense that I was doing. So there, I had found my passion, a passion for words, for writing, for stories. Many years later, this childhood passion turned into my profession. I joined advertising. I began to write ads to sell soaps, shampoos, lotions, toothpastes, anything really. Now, advertising is a glorious profession. And like any creative profession, fundamentally it is made up of just 2 things. Immense satisfaction. When you think of a good idea, a big idea, when everything works out. And immense frustration when things don't work out. And largely it is 90% frustration and 10% satisfaction. So your working life is a continuous loop of frustration, 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 satisfaction, frustration, 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 satisfaction. But here is the interesting thing. One moment of immense satisfaction, when you create something beautiful, fills you with enough energy to tide over several moments, days, weeks, even months of frustration. Let me share one example from my advertising days to give you a sense of what immense satisfaction means. This is a small ad that I wrote 25 years ago. Even to this day, every time I think about it, it fills me with great joy. A small ad about a very big man, Mr. Bachchan, the greatest actor, star, living legend. I had to write an ad for an Amitabh Film Festival that was being run on Set Max. As you know, all these channels regularly keep playing these film festivals, wherein, say, over 2 months, every Friday or Saturday, they will play one movie of a particular actor. So you will have Rajesh Khanna Film Festival, Dev Anand Film Festival, and so on. This was Amitabh Film Festival. Now, for millions of us across generations, every time we see Mr. Bachchan on the big screen, this is what we think and feel. Bhagwan hai yaar, he's God. This is what the common man, the fan, millions of us feel towards Mr. Bachchan. And so this is the ad that I wrote. It read, God made man, man made movies, movies made stars, stars made fans, fans made God. In the land of 1,000,000 gods, there is one more to worship. In the land of 1,000 festivals, there is one more to celebrate. Amitabh Film Festival. Of course, there have been many more instances of immense satisfaction in advertising. But after about 15, 18 years in the business, there came a time when frustration set in. I was tired and bored, doing the same things each day, writing ads to sell cars and refrigerators and wires and mobile phones and whatnot. The passion for words and writing was still there, but advertising had become frustrating. So one day, I sat down and started penning down my childhood memories. I didn't set out to write a book. I just wanted a different outlet for words. Now, writing ads, writing a book, writing a screenplay, they might sound and seem similar, but they're not. The basic skill set is the same, but the mindset and the expertise required in each field is vastly different. Anyway, I began to write instinctively, and it was a beautiful journey. I loved it. I had fun, I laughed, I felt like a child again, pure, innocent, joyful. And within 6 months, I had finished writing Half Pants, Full Pants, my childhood autobiography. 2 parts to the book. Half Pants, my childhood adventures from LKG to class 7, and Full Pants from class 8 to class 12. Some of my colleagues who read the manuscript compared it to Malgudi Days. Now, an accidental piece of work that happened because of frustration in advertising, and then being compared to the biggest Indian literary classic. It doesn't get better than this. Immense satisfaction. Now let's come to the reality. The people who said wonderful things were my friends in advertising, which is a really small world. The publishing industry is its own animal. So over the next 4 years, all I faced was rejection, sometimes even humiliation. Imagine the frustration of any writer. Forget me, I'm a nobody. I'm the tiniest one in the pack. The biggest and the best-selling multimillionaire authors in the world, including J.K. Rowling, and hundreds of other literary giants across the ages, so many of them, have all been through the same journey of rejection, humiliation, and frustration, till one makes it big. In my case, it took 4 years. Now, how does one deal with this frustration for 4 years? You can't wake up every morning feeling frustrated and go to bed at night feeling frustrated. You can do it for a few weeks, maybe for a few months, but you can't do it beyond that. You'll end up becoming like Tino Anand in Agnipath. So you just have to swallow your pride, take it in your stride, and get on with life. Find your next passion project and start work on it. And hope that someday the timing will be right and the stars will align. 4 years later, the book finally came out. It wasn't a bestseller, but several thousand people read it. Hundreds of people said the most beautiful things, and hundreds of readers compared it to Malgudi Days. Years of frustration and then immense satisfaction. Now, if getting a book out and getting glowing reviews for it is a big thing. Turning it into a series is a colossal thing. Everything gets multiplied 100 times. The complexity, the process, the challenges, the odds. Because what does it take to put a book out? A handful of people. The writer, a publisher, a distributor, and perhaps a few more people in the process. And it costs a few lakhs. But for a movie or a series, there is involvement of multiple parties. There is involvement of 300 to 500 people, sometimes much more. And it costs crores of rupees. Someone has to believe in the story so much to be willing to put in crores of rupees behind it. And beyond everything, cinema is a lot about destiny. 100 things need to fall into place. The next 4 years went into this. And again, it was a journey of frustration, rejection, trying repeatedly, figuring out, putting in hundreds of hours of work. 4 years after the book was published, Amazon commissioned the book into a series. And my childhood autobiography became my childhood biopic. It released on Prime Video in December 2022 by the same name, Half Pants, Full Pants. Lakhs of people who had not read the book saw the series. Thousands of people said very beautiful things, and hundreds of people compared it to Malgudi Days. On top of that, it won the jury award for the best story on OTT at the Indian Television Awards 2023. Okay, we've spoken enough about passion, frustration, and satisfaction. We haven't spoken about the fourth fellow, confusion. Now, in your journey of life, in whichever field, and at whatever age, at every stage, every now and then, confusion will jump up and sit on your shoulders. What am I doing? Am I happy? Am I successful? Am I recognized? Am I making enough money, but the other person is making a lot more? What do I do next? Confusion. He's a very nasty fellow, very difficult to shake him off. Now, some of you might think that only losers and strugglers are plagued by confusion. Not at all. Even successful people, people with lots of money, fame, achievements, champions and legends, everybody struggles equally with confusion. So in sum, in my modest understanding of life, I have these two realizations. One, the four shuns, passion, frustration, satisfaction, and confusion, will always be a part of your journey, right till the end. There's no escaping them. You just have to figure out a way to handle each of them. And two, frustration and confusion. Nobody likes them, but they are a big part of everybody's life. And strangely, while success and motivation push you forward, frustration and confusion really push you to discover newer things about yourself and life. So what is it that you can do? Just find your passion, whatever touches your soul. Don't worry about the other three. They will come automatically. You just need to figure out your passion. And it could be anything. AI, cricket, planting trees, teaching, taking care of stray dogs, rapping, anything. So yeah, that's that. My final bit. As we grow older, a lot of people tend to use a fifth shun to manage these four shuns. And that is meditation. I'm not an expert, I don't know. At some point, I'll give it a shot and see if it works. Thank you all for listening to this blank page.